Okay, so that can be, so you don't have to switch between the two, you can just go straight to the new one. So now, if you want to create a new EC2 instance, click on this EC2 here, or you can search for it. Then once you click on that, click on Launch Instance. So when you click on Launch Instance, you have to give your instance a name. So the name, I'm just going to give this one Test Server. So then the operating system that you want to use, the OS that you want to use, I'm going to go for Windows now. I will test Windows, I will test Linux. I've already tested Linux, it works, so I'm testing Windows now. So the operating system that you want to use, you can pick any of these operating system, but always make sure that you are using the one with the default. I mean, the one with the free tier. So I'm using the 2022 base. For the instance type, I'm going with the T2 micro. For the key, you can pick from the key that you created before. You can create a new key. So I'm picking a key that I created, that I know it works. Now for the networking settings, you guys are going to be having the default. Your default should work. If you have not messed up with your AWS account the way I messed up with mine. So, but for me, I'm using this lab. So make sure you deploy in a public subnet. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect to that server. So make sure you are having public subnet. If you are using the default, everything in the default is public. If your account is new and you have not messed up with it. So this is the public subnet. Then I need it to have a public IP address, because that is what I will use to connect. Every system comes with private IP address, but the private IP address, you can't use it outside of that network. So because we want to connect outside of the network now, we need a public IP address. For my security group, I'm going to choose either a existing security group or you choose a new one, but I will advise you to create a new security group because the default security group always have an issue at times. So you can call this one Test Security Group. Then when you create a security group, because you are creating a Windows server, so it's going to have RDP enabled. So this is the RDP. And see, under the same security group, you can add another security group rules. So this time around, I'm adding SSH to it. And I'm going to make it source, meaning that I want to be able to connect from using SSH from everywhere. Then I'm adding another one to it, calling ICMP version 4, so that I can ping the system to know whether they're actually connecting or not. So for the ping, just make sure that you can ping everywhere. So that is just it. Then every other thing should be the same. Then spin up the server. That we will wait for this to connect. Oh, something is wrong. Initial integer value. What's this? I'm seeing this error for the first time. Let's go again. What's wrong with AWS today? Okay, I think what might happen there is the test server window. Still pick the same thing for window. Pick the same instance type. The key still the same. I'm changing my lab VPC. We're going to learn how to create VPC when we get to security under solution architect, not here, not cloud practitioner. So for I'm choosing a new security group. I'm calling it test security group. There's possibility that that security group might have been I might have something like that before. I'm just going to give it test 111 security group. That is possibility for that error that we got. So I'm going to open this SSH from everywhere. So that error that we have, I'm so sure it's actually coming from the security group. So let me see. If you give us the same error again, I'm not editing anything under networking. I just want to add the third security groups. So I'm going to pick custom ICMP. Oh, okay. I'm supposed to use this, not this one. So you use all ICMP4 and not custom. That's why I got that error. Custom all ICMP4. Then it has to be from everywhere. So every other thing should be the same. Then save it. Okay, that has connected. So while this one is loading, then you can also create a Linux server. So if you do not follow me when I was creating that Linux server, now is the time for you to look. So the Linux server, I'm going to call this test2, but now is using Amazon Linux. Then I'm using 2023 AMI, the default one. Instance type, I'm using T2 micro. For the key, I can use the same key. For the networking settings, I'm using my lab. You just use your default. Then when I use lab, I make sure that I'm on public subnet. Then I'm allowing enable public IP address. I can now use the default, the security group that I created for test 1. I can use it, so I'll just select it because it has both SSH and RDP. For you to connect to the Linux server, you need SSH. And now that the security group already have SSH, I can use that. So with that, every other thing should be the same. Then create. Creating instances shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes. I don't know why. This is because of the networking issue that we are having. That is why we have all those issues. So now I have 2 instances that is currently running. The test server and the, wait a second, let me refresh. Yeah, the test server and the test2. Those are the 2 things. You can see both of them are initializing. So because of that, I'm going to terminate every other one that I've been using before. Make sure if you want to terminate, don't select the one that we're using. You can see this one is initializing. That's our first. That's our second. This is our first. So every other one, I don't need them. So I'm going to terminate it. Please make sure once you finish with your demo and you don't need a system again, make sure you terminate it if you don't want to be getting charged. Because AWS, they are kind of strict these days. So I'm terminating. Yeah.
Why do we need 2 instances?
No, it's just one. We are trying to test 2 different instances. One is Windows server and the other one is Linux server.
Okay, so when we are doing ours, do we need to do the 2 too?
Yeah, it's always better to do the 2 so that you know the way to connect to Windows server and you know the way to connect to Linux server, because there are 2 different ways.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So all those ones that are terminated, you can't connect to them again. If you go back after like 2 hours to your account, they would have been deleted. But if you don't want to terminate them, maybe you want to come back to them later, just stop them. You can see stop, don't terminate. If you terminate, that means you don't need them again. You are throwing them away. But if you create an instance and you want to, maybe you are not using it now, you want to come back in the future time, just stop it. Click on stop. So the test server is completed. That is the Windows server. Then to connect to that, so I'm going to go to connect, RDP client. I'm going to get password. To get the password, you need to upload to the private key, then decrypt it. So I'm going to copy this, or let me just leave it, then download the remote desktop. I always download a new one because most of the time the old one will not work for it. So I'm going to click this. Then make sure that the remote computer is this, what you are seeing here. This is 211 and 44211, so they are the same. So that means I'm connecting to the remote computer. I'm connecting to my server. I'm going to say connect. And now it gives me the administrator password. So once it's showing this, that means it's established the connection, meaning that it actually see RDP on your security group. But because it's trying to use my personal laptop, I'm going to say no. I'm connecting in a different way. I'm using a different account. So this time around, I'm going to use the admin. Then I'm going to use the password. Then I'll say connect. So here, it brings it back to my system and it's showing that it's connecting. And here it's coming up. So you have to give it some time to load. Now we have, this is a Windows server on my desktop. So it connects successfully now. So now we can start running anything we want to use Windows Server for, something like Active Directory. You can actually use this for Active Directory. So which we are going to be looking at under security. So it's still loading. Now you can see this is exactly like the window that you have, but this is Windows Server. So here now I can now start. You see it comes with Microsoft Edge, and you can download other things that you want on it. Maybe like Google Chrome. You don't like Microsoft Edge. And here is giving you some basic information about your server. That this is a total memory of 1 gig and it's located in US East 1A. Remember the naming of your availability zone. So it's telling us that it is in availability zone 1A, and the instance type is T2 micro. It gives us the public IP address and the instance ID, and say the networking is low to medium. So this is how to connect to your Windows server. So if you are done with this, once you just see this, that means successful. Then I'm going to close this. You can actually shut it down like regular window, like go to here, shut it down, and continue. So it's shutting down. Then now we are back to my system. This is now my system. Then to connect to the second one, Linux. Linux is not a graphical based operating system. It's a text-based operating system that we normally use terminal to connect to it. So go to connect to our Linux server, go to the test. I think that is test 2. Then click on connect SSH client. The other one we use RDP client. This we are using SSH client. So you can just copy the whole of this and go to your let me cancel this. Wait. So you get to when you open your own Microsoft, VS Code, when you click on this three dots, go to terminal, then new terminal. It's going to open a terminal for you. Make sure that you are in the download. If not, you will not be able to access your key that you downloaded. You can access it, just that you need to write a lot of path. But if you don't want to write anything apart from your key name, make sure that you are in this place. And for you to come here, if you are not there, you can just do, maybe if you are somewhere else, you can just do something like this. If you are using Windows, just write this command, cd, then put download here. Then it's going to take you inside that download file. If you are not there yet, if you are seeing something different, just do this. Anywhere you are, just do this. Then it's going to take you into the window. Then once you are inside the window, then you can now paste the code that you copied. But before you paste the code, if you are using a new SSH, if you are using a new key, if you are using a new SSH key, make sure you do this. Sudo, shmod, shmod 400, then the name of that key. So the key I'm using this time around is called demo key. Then you have to do this. So this just gives the key permission it just restricts the permission to 400, which is to the user alone, to read only. Forget about that. Under Linux, we learn that. So now the next thing now, if you have already run this, the next one is to paste the command. If you have lost that command, you can go back and get it. So I'll just come here, copy this, then paste everything there. This will connect successfully. But if you don't want to use this long DNS name, you can change it to the public IP address. And how you get the public IP address, just go back to the instance that you are trying to connect to, and you see a public IP address here. Click on it and paste it here. Then press enter. So once you see this, are you sure you want to connect? Just say yes. Then it will connect to that server. So this, if you see this, that means we are successfully connected to the Linux server, and we've already connected to the Windows server. So these are the two ways of connecting to your instance. So anything you are doing from here now, you are doing it on this server. If you create a file here, like on Windows, when you want to create a file on Windows, you right click, then you go to file, or you open Notepad and you type something on the Notepad and you save it. But if you want to create the same Notepad here, you can just do touch, then you give your Notepad a name. Because let me call this one my account text. Notepad, when you want to save Notepad, you save with .stx. That's why you say Notepad. So when you just type touch my account.sts, and you press enter. So that means you have created a file on this server. Then if you want to see that file, just do ls. Then it's going to show you that this is the file that you created. But we are not doing Linux in this class for now. We're going to be later in the day. But what we are just accomplishing here is creating a server and connecting to it. Yeah, this takes us a lot of time because of the networking issue. And this is, I'm not really happy that it happens today, but I'm happy that it happens because this is what you encounter in real life. This is what you encounter in real life. Even I'm still working on something like this, and we have been on this for like 3 months. It has to go across multiple departments. So welcome to the IT world. Here, I'm closing this. If you are done, you can just quit. Just type quit. Exit, sorry. Type exit. Then if you go out from this system, then it will go back to your own laptop. So now it's back to my own laptop. So anything I do now, I'm doing it directly on my own laptop. But before, if I have created a file from here, it would have been, I'm creating it on the server. So any question for me for these two, creating a Windows server, creating a Linux server, and connecting to it?
Sorry, I missed a part. That terminal that you just used, was it on your own Windows laptop, or it was on the cloud?
Which one?
The terminal, this one.
So this is Windows Terminal. So I posted something on I posted the link on the Telegram, I think like 2 days ago, that you guys should download it on your system, that you watch your YouTube video and download it on your system because we're going to be needing it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So now let's go back to our presentation, so if you are getting used to presentation, well, you can enjoy it when it lasts, but when you get to solution architect, it will be fully hands-on. So all these PowerPoints, we have to go away because that is when the real work comes. But here I'm using the PowerPoint presentation so that it can actually it can make more sense. It can be like understand it better, and you have some good knowledge of the cloud before we actually get to the solution architect. All right, I'm starting my presentation back. I was going to stop this video so that I can put it on a different, so that I can be on a different recording so that I don't have to watch too much long video. I'm going to stop